Hi, friends. I'm Lauren,
And I'm Katie.
and welcome to Okay, but Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before. Today, we're recapping and chatting about Once Upon a Time, episode 101, aptly named Pilot. The pilot aired on ABC on October 23rd, 2011. It was directed by Mark Mylod and written by the showrunners Eddie Kitsis and Adam Horowitz. Fun fact, they were staff writers for the entire run of the TV show Lost, so we're probably going to see a bunch of those actors pop up throughout the show. Once Upon a Time ran from 2011 through 7 seasons and 156 episodes until it ended its run in May of 2018. Now for a little bit of a synopsis, because Once Upon a Time is a show that's told in dual storyline. We have both a fairy tale land and a real world synopsis. In fairy tale land, what happens when happily ever after isn't forever? After true love's kiss wakes Snow White, and all is well, a new threat looms. The evil queen crashes the royal wedding, threatening a curse that will rip everyone from their happy endings. The only one who can save them is Snow White and Prince Charming's future daughter. On the warning of Rumpelstiltskin, they must get their daughter to safety so that she can find and save them from this terrible curse. Because who knows what can happen when the evil queen gets her happy ending. And in our world, Emma Swan, a bail bonds person, hasn't had the easiest life. After spending her 28th birthday working, she settled into the feeling that she might be alone. Until a child, Henry, shows up claiming to be the son she gave up 10 years prior, and that his home is in danger. Everyone in his town is cursed, frozen in time, and stuck in Storybrooke, Maine. While Emma doesn't believe that every townsperson is secretly a cursed fairy tale character, when she brings him home, she finds that all might not be as well in his life as she would have hoped for his best chance. After seeing the town and confronting his adopted mother, Regina Mills, mayor of Storybrooke, Emma decides to stick around for just a week to see what relationship she can build with her son. All right, so Katie, initial thoughts. What'd you think?
Um, okay, so I remember watching, I think, the pilot a very, very long time ago.
Okay.
I think it was actually when it came out, but that was like I think the beginning of my senior year of high school. So not many memories
Okay. That's
have
that's
stuck
fair.
around. Um, my notes are very, very short
Okay.
and to the point, and it was
That's
just
fair.
like thoughts I was having as I watched
Mm-hmm.
because it does have that mystery to it, which is what keeps me entertained and what keeps me held there. So I did really like that part. Well, one, the queen. Um,
Yeah.
oh my god, that
Regina,
first
there's
outfit.
I mean, she grabs you. I mean, I literally wrote in my notes that she had me from "Sorry I'm Late," which is very catchy, while not entirely accurate. Because other than being hot and mean, there's not a whole lot about her to like in the first season. I will be quite honest.
But I like those things in a woman.
I mean,
So,
yeah,
but I was gonna make the joke that she had me at her walk, but
mm,
just walking into the room. But then that's its own.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so the CGI
Yes, the
for walking her in,
CGI.
it's it's a choice. They tried to do this kind of thing that SFX have done with trying to make someone look like they're walking faster than they are.
What, like the Twilight effect?
Exactly. That's the exact example I was going to use. It's the
Oh
Twilight
yes.
effect. The issue is with Twilight, they used an actual physical treadmill,
Yeah.
but with this, they tried to do it with CGI, so her feet don't exactly match up, and you have some skidding effects, and it's a choice. I respect the choice. I do think it needed better execution.
I'm now realizing, like, looking at my notes, I don't think many of my notes are about the actual plot of the story.
That's okay. Neither am
It's about
mine.
other part. Because in the next one I have, which is you've heard me complain of before, I need an explanation for Snow's hair.
Yeah, the wigs. I definitely
Also a
wrote
choice.
also a choice. I'm pretty sure I wrote down the wigs. They get better. I will admit, when you see scenes later on in the show where it's like meant to be like right after the wedding, or it's like the same scenes as you see in the pilot, it's a better wig. I will fully admit that. It's a much
Okay.
better wig. So I will give the writers like the costume and hair department that they get better quality wigs as the show gets picked up, cuz like pilots are written in a vacuum almost.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently the pilot, this was part of like a deal that the showrunners made with ABC after the ending of Lost. They just kind of had like a certain number of years that they could just kind of pitch them whatever they wanted. And this was one of them. So this was pitched specifically for ABC, but pilots are kind of off on their own thing. You never know if they're actually going to get picked up. So like the quality gets better. I will admit the quality gets better of the practical effects. CGI. Although here's something that you may not have known with CGI.
Okay.
Fun fact. So the glass coffin.
Yes.
The very iconic, very beginning opening scene. The snow was real. It was actually snowing that day. But the glass in the glass coffin is actually CGI, because if it were real, it would have been fogging up the entire time. So
it was CGI the whole time. That's CGI.
The glass is CGI.
That's crazy, knowing that they did such good CGI on that, and then Regina walks in, and you're like, "What?
What's going on?
What's happening?"
That scene though, because Ginnifer Goodwin is one of the few people. Ginnifer Goodwin, who played Snow White, is one of the few cast members who was offered the role. Which, to be fair, she is Snow White. Like, let's be real here. Ginnifer Goodwin
is. I can't think of anyone else.
She is Snow White personified, like, as she is right now. She's also basically an old lady. She knits, she darns socks. I wouldn't be shocked if, like, her pets follow her throughout the house.
Oh, goodness.
She's married to Prince Charming. Like, let's be real here. There's no art imitating life here. But when they were filming the pilot, and because there's no glass in the coffin, she's just getting pelted with snow, right?
Oh, no.
And one of the showrunners kind of went up to her to see how she was doing, and they kind of expected this was like this is where she's gonna star out, like, do you know who I am, kind of thing. And they walk up to her like, are you okay? And she just looks up at them and goes, this is fucking amazing. She's just like in a tree in an enchanted forest in Canada. And it's just beautiful. It's just like, that's what I love that about her. So it's just like, she was just so excited to be there. But it's just a fun thing. The snow was real. The CGI, the glass was CGI though.
That is extremely interesting, and exactly the response I would expect from Ginnifer Goodwin. But I do feel bad then, since you said everything though, because then I'm like, my other note about her hair, I was like, Snow is literally royalty, and her hair looks like a bird's nest. So I'm really hoping the wigs get better.
The wigs do get better.
Okay.
I can promise you.
Know we got wigs.
The wigs get better.
I had to tell you that.
It's okay.
Like, maybe I should have started with that.
Maybe, yeah, the wigs. The wigs, the CGI. But another thing that you may not have known was CGI is the birds that we see. Those bright blue birds.
Like the one she's holding in her hand when she goes to the window? Yeah.
Not blue.
What?
They're green. They CGI'd them blue. See? It's a weird use of CGI, but it works.
I don't like this. I don't know what's real and what isn't. What is real?
I don't know. I don't know what is real anymore. But, it's the thing is the CGI, it ebbs and flows with the show. The virtual sets are beautiful. Like the standing still virtual sets, I think, throughout the entirety of the show are gorgeous. But some of the movement is not. The magic is as real as they could possibly get it. Mm-hmm. But when they add movement, it just sometimes doesn't work the way they want it to.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I had a couple other things. Like, I really enjoyed Emma's acting with the date.
Yeah.
Like, it's spot on, wonderful acting. I'm just sitting there like, I'm convinced.
Exactly.
And it's wonderful. Definitely loved that.
Mm-hmm.
I started questioning how Rumpelstiltskin knows she's having a girl, but then I'm like, there's magic. Who knows? It's magic.
It's a world building thing that, like, the Dark One can see the future, because Snow has that line, like, he can see the future. Like, can you guarantee a future for our child? Because he can. Fun fact for those who are listening to this podcast: this is where, like, if we were an IP like affiliated podcast, you'd get like legit sound bites. But unfortunately for you all, we don't do that. But what's a benefit of being me is I have half of this pilot memorized. So I can just go off on tangents.
The amount of times you've just spit out entire scenes by yourself.
Entire scenes. There's no need to watch the show. I can recite it for you. So this is where we would insert
me to
clip.
sleep. There you go. I'll just call you at night.
There you go.
You can talk me to sleep.
Exactly. So yeah, so whenever we have a quote, if I'm saying it, it's probably a direct quote.
It's not in front. It is not in front of her. She
And
just
it's
knows
not in front of me.
all.
If it's a long one, I'll write it down. But like, can you guarantee a future for our child? Because he can. I just know that.
What do you
Oops.
not know?
A lot of things.
You'll like this one. You'll probably laugh at this one too. Bad
Okay.
guys' helmets. Why is there spaghetti on their heads?
Oh my god, the Dark Knights. I don't know.
Like,
It's
that was another choice.
It's a choice. It's one they
choice.
stick with. They stick with it. I'll give them props for that. They stick with it.
Like, we did this. We might as well just keep them.
Exactly. I don't know why they put that on there. That's a design choice that I necessarily can't always get behind, I will admit.
And then my last one, I have another one, but I'm going to wait for that one
Okay.
if you have a question for that.
Yeah.
But the last one is just quotes. Well, not quotes, my own quote. This is what my brain said when it happened.
Okay.
My newborn baby got away and will defeat you in 30 years.
I mean, pretty much. That's basically the whole premise of the
That's
pilot.
the whole premise. Is
My
the newborn
my
baby.
My preemie newborn child, because she's born early.
Yeah. Got away, but see you in 30 years.
Exactly.
Approximately.
You're going to lose because we put a child in a wardrobe.
The wardrobe was the weirdest part. I was just kind of like, okay, magic tree. We're just going to run with it.
Exactly. Like they were trying, I think, throw in as many references in the pilot as they could, whether they brought them in or not. I mean, I will be honest, we don't see the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe ever again. So a magical wardrobe is just, we will see the wardrobe, but like,
that's the only reference we're gonna get.
Yeah, we don't get Narnia, we don't get the White Witch, none of that. No Aslan. To be fair, no one wants CGI lions on the show.
No, we're done. I think we're done with.
I think we're good.
I think Lion King was enough for CGI lions. I think Lion King was enough of that.
I think so. And luckily we don't have the Lion King on Once Upon a Time, so we're okay.
We're good. Oh god, can you imagine?
Good. I don't want to.
I
don't want to. Oh dear.
Oh boy, what you got for me?
So I mean, my initial thoughts, I mean, I've seen this pilot truthfully more times than I care to admit, because, and like this is kind of the point of our podcast, I'm a lot while watching this show. I admit this. So I get people started on the show and they'll watch like maybe the first 2-3 episodes with me, and then I'll just talk over them because I know far too much about production. And they're like, you know what? I'm gonna go watch it. I'll text you. And then I either keep going with season 1 or I just go back to watching other things. So this time I got a little carried away with the notes because they're my unhinged inner monologue thought notes. That's just what happens.
We love a good inner monologue.
There's so much. There's so much inner monologue. One of my main things that I was like this time was when Henry is in Boston for the first time. Is it legal for a kid to take a cab without parental supervision at 10 years old? I don't know if it is.
Because like where I live, I wouldn't know.
In New York, I would honestly see people not batting an eye. This is Boston. I feel like that's not as common because like you see 10-year-olds taking public transit in New York all the time.
Am I too southern for this conversation? Because I'm like,
possibly.
What's bad about Boston?
I just feel like Boston, you don't see it as often. I don't know. But that was my main thing.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, Boston did surprise me, and then the random Maine.
Like, well, okay, so this is the thing. So the geography of Storybrooke, because I spend quite a bit of time in Maine. That's a big vacation location for my family. So where Storybrooke is supposed to be is about a 4-hour drive or so from Boston, which is a lot for one night, but it's doable. It's just not in an area where you would likely see beach and forest very close to each other.
Gotcha.
Which does bother me a little bit, but we're okay. One of the big things that will continue to bother me, even though I admit before, pilots are written in a vacuum. Snow's line of, "She poisoned an apple because she thought I was prettier than her. You have no idea what she's capable of," is a massive plot hole that I can't talk about right now. But pilots are written in a vacuum. We know that that's not the reason.
It was a spoilers.
It is a spoiler for later in the season.
Spoilers.
But spoilers. But
see, you knew.
Exactly. I can work that voice in whenever I want to.
Oh yeah,
But
I'm okay with that.
but it's just one thing that I notice every single time is that line. I'm like, I get they wrote the pilot, then they wrote the next 6 episodes, and then they wrote the latter part of the season. Like they were only originally ordered through the first 7 episodes. So like I get it, but like it just still bothers me to this day.
So I get to find out
You will find out.
eventually.
You will
I
find
will
out.
find out, and
You
you'll
will find
reference
out.
back to this moment.
Exactly. I absolutely will. And this is my last big thought, and then we'll kind of go into the rest of what we plan on talking about, because this is my main thing that I actually went back, because there's a PDF of the pilot script. It's just somehow available online. These are the things that I look at.
I love it.
So Mary Margaret, like Snow's Storybrooke persona, was originally supposed to be a nun. There's a few things here that kind of point to this. She's just Sister, like the pilot, the script literally says Sister Mary Margaret, comma, a nun. That's just how she's written. She's also wearing a cross necklace in the pilot that you never see again.
I don't
Yeah.
think it would feel like the same show if they had done that.
Well, it wouldn't, because literally 2 episodes later, this isn't a spoiler, it's just one line. She has a line where she literally says, "I'm a teacher, not a nun." They just completely dialed back on that. And it does work into a little bit of world building, because eventually they decide that the fairy's curse persona in Storybrooke are the nuns. So having someone else who isn't a fairy be a nun wouldn't have made any sense.
Gotcha. Nun is an interesting choice.
It is an interesting choice. Ultimately, I don't know if this is my interpretation of this or if I'm seeing what I'm seeing. Beyond the pilot, for the most part, Snow White, Mary Margaret reads as very Jewish coded to me. Ginnifer Goodwin, the actor who plays Snow, is Jewish. She's very open about that, as are many of the writers. And it feels like a lot of the traditions or big events that happen on the show are very reminiscent of Jewish traditions. I don't know if that's my bias, but so, and also Ginny used to jokingly call them the Charmsteins.
Okay, I love that.
That's my big like initial thought, that like I always want to make sure, like I'm like, she was supposed to be a nun, but then they decided that was a bad idea.
That's interesting, knowing the Jewish aspect as well, though, of like,
Yeah,
that would have been interesting.
Yeah, I mean, she's played
Very
characters
interesting.
of various religions before. Like she was on a show about Mormons. That's Big Love.
Yeah.
Big Love on HBO. They're
my
yeah.
TikTok loves to show me that one.
Me too.
I'm like, do I just need to watch it?
I've only seen the first episode. I can't tell you whether or not it's worth a watch.
We're just gonna write that one down for later.
Yeah.
Give us 5 years.
Yeah, exactly, the next series.
So I did have a favorite. It wasn't a line because there was no speaking, but a favorite moment, I guess, would be more Leroy smiling. Just him in that just the smile he gives, the very sarcastic, obviously means something else.
That shit-eating grin that he gives him.
Favorite moment.
It's a good moment. Because it's also like, I love that right before that he's whistling "Whistle While You Work," which is like very much a thing that could only be done if they were picked up by ABC.
Exactly. But that was definitely my favorite moment, and I did really, really enjoy it. I think that the pilot worked really well for what it's supposed to be, because I know there's of course people that are like, it sucks, it's not the actual story, and I'm like, let people be creative. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, because like pilots, like I said, pilots are written in a vacuum. They're meant to basically be a hook and a sell for the show. That's all that they are. Is they're meant to be, here are all the characters, here's what's going on, and like they have to both be self-contained and leave you wanting more, because they have to be a self-contained story for the networks to pick them up, but they have to leave you wanting more, because like otherwise there's nothing left to go on for the viewers.
Yeah, and they did really well with that when it comes to this pilot. This pilot is definitely one that pulls you in, and I am grateful for that, because I was really worried that I was not going to want to continue, because I've never really watched it. I didn't continue it growing up. So I was like, I really hope I like this, because I don't want to disappoint my friend. So I was like, thank you, pilot, for being good.
That's good.
Because I have the same fear for you watching my show of like, is she
Mm-hmm.
gonna like this?
Exactly. We
It's
don't
not
know.
everyone's cup of tea because media is subjective.
Exactly. We are allowed to like different things. That's what I like about media.
Yes.
What was my I don't know if I have a favorite line or a favorite moment. I love the whole I mean, I've seen like I said, I've seen the pilot God knows how many times.
Oh, so many.
So many times. So like my favorite moments, I'll be honest, no, I like say I have because it's so powerful a moment for her is the ending scene with Emma
Mm-hmm.
and Regina at the outside of her house. It's such a powerful moment. Like and it can be taken many ways because as we said, art is subjective. Regina is being very protective, and it's unclear whether she's being protective of Henry or being protective of the curse because we're still in that space of does she know? Like, or is she like, or is this even real? Is even the
Did the
question at the
curse get
beginning.
her too?
Exactly? Can she remember everything else, or is this even real? Or are we just seeing the stories and like it's really all in Henry's head? Like that's really a question.
Yeah.
So just that moment of her going like, you know, in the last decade, while you've been doing whatever it is you've been doing, I
Mm-hmm.
have survived every fever, endured every tantrum. You may have given birth to him, but he is my son. Like that, it's so powerful a moment, and I love it.
And as a mom, it hits completely different
Yeah, I'm
because
sure.
it's like, yeah, no, sounds about right. Been there,
Yeah,
done that.
just like you gave up the right
For
when you tossed him away. Like to be fair, the
yeah.
legality is very contentious. The legality of the adoption gets very contentious throughout the fandom and gets contentious throughout the show, but that is for a later date.
Yeah, I was sitting through it like, I don't think this is how this works, but it's
Yeah,
TV.
exactly. Exactly.
What did you Oh wait, no. Explain your data.
We're explaining that my data. So I'm a data nerd. That's kind of my thing.
You are the
So
queen of the or emperor or I don't know, what title do you like?
I could be queen. I'm okay with that.
Queen. Queen of spreadsheets.
Queen of spreadsheets. I've made us various spreadsheets for this podcast.
And
They
everything else.
and everything else in my life. Um so I am a data nerd and I thought it would be fun to kind of for us each to kind of give a numerical score for the episodes so we can kind of see as the shows go on how things kind of rank up average wise. And also, I mean, how do those numbers differentiate from how we really feel kind of situations? Because our opinions may change and we may get different at scoring.
And there's biases.
There's biases. I can already tell you I know certain episodes are going to do far better than other ones. I already know what's getting perfect scores. But we'll get to them when we get to them. So we are ranking every episode and every season on a scale that's got 3 categories. It's based on character, plot, and then just personal. Each category can have 10 points, so each episode could have a total possible score of 30 points. So I gave the pilot, if I could get my notes back, where did they go? I gave it a 7.2 for plot, an 8.2 for character, and I gave it a 10 for personal because, quite frankly, it's just enjoyable. And I've seen it a million times. I wouldn't watch it a million times if I didn't like it. So that gives it a 25.4 out of 10, out of 30 for its total score. Plot wise, it's just because I know of all the plot holes. I know where
Yeah.
they are. I know what's going on here.
It's different for first viewer and seasoned viewer.
Exactly. 8.2 I gave for character because so much of a lot of the characterization clearly hadn't been figured out yet. Something that I marked down a lot, that I will mark down going forward, is Emma's superpower. Um,
Superpower.
like she says at the very beginning, I have one skill. Let's call it a superpower. I can tell when anyone is lying, and you, kid, are. Told you. Whole lines, whole scenes. So she will use her
Always.
superpower very frequently to see if someone's lying, which I'm sure has served her well up until this point. It doesn't work so well when she's emotionally invested. She's
Mm.
in the first season alone, I want to say she's wrong 90% of the time. That's why I kind of mark it down a little bit for character because they had time to make the decisions. They didn't do it in the pilot yet, and that's okay. So that's my score. How did
It
you do?
is what it is.
How did you give the pilot, Katie?
What's your guess? How much do you think I liked it?
I think overall, your total score, I'm going to say, is a 22.
You're so close.
Oh, am I?
So I gave character 8 because I do
Okay.
really like the characters. The characters we were introduced, I really enjoyed. It worked. It was great. Some of the characters are weird, so I don't know. Rumpelstiltskin kind of made me feel weird.
He's creepy. I'll give him that.
He's very creepy, so I think that's why I was like, I mean, y'all did a really great job making him creepy, but I didn't know. Uh, plot, I gave 8 because it was a good plot. I enjoyed the plot. Was it like absolutely amazing? It's a pilot, like you've said. It's a pilot.
Exactly.
Personal was a 7, so I got a 23.
Okay, I was very close.
You're one off.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, because to be fair, I use decimals and you don't. And you don't.
Yeah, exactly. If I involved decimals, I would hurt my own brain.
Yeah, I might stop with the decimals just because we have such a wide scale to use. I think I don't want to hurt myself too much.
I mean, if you enjoy it, you enjoy the decimals. It's okay.
Yeah. It's just true. I like it just it overcomplicates it. I may not. We'll see how I feel.
But that's not bad. I'm only a couple of points below yours, so I'm not mad about that.
I like that.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. Do we want to talk about some fun facts about production and casting? Because I have quite a few of them.
Sure, let's do that.
Let's do the fun facts. This is the did you know of okay, but did you know?
So finally we got to the did you know.
We found the title. Roll credits. That was great. I alluded earlier about, art imitating life when it comes to Snow White and Prince Charming, which again still bothers me because technically Prince Charming is not the prince from Snow White's name. Prince Charming is actually technically Cinderella's prince if we're going off of Disney.
Snow White stole the prince.
She stole him. She's got her own. Cinderella will show up eventually. So they are married in real life because they're adorable. But they were not together when they filmed the pilot. And actually, when they filmed the pilot, she was engaged to somebody else and he was married. He was married to Laura Pulver, who would be best known as Irene Adler from the BBC version of Sherlock.
Seriously?
Yeah, they were married for like 4 years. So
from Sherlock. I love Sherlock.
Yeah, like the Benedict Cumberbatch version of Sherlock. So both of them were, their dance cards were filled. Their dance cards were filled when they were filming the pilot. But between the time of filming the pilot and when they went to go film the rest of the series, because my best guess about the pilot is they probably filmed it around March. Because the actor who played Henry said he was 9, and I know based off of the internet, his birthday is May. So I'm going to say March, April, based off of the weather, is when they filmed the pilot.
It's still possible to snow in Canada at that point.
Exactly. And they intended to start production for the other seasons in July. So that would be a good time frame. So I'm getting this timeline from the interview she did with the Good For You with Whitney Cummings podcast. And by the time they came back to film the rest of the season, she had broken off her engagement and he and his wife had ended their marriage. And she says that they tried to stay friends for the beginning because they're like, we're on a show together. We don't want to ruin things for everybody. They're like, and then if we do get together and we break up, she says to him, are you okay with being unemployed and asking Disney to kill off Prince Charming? Because they're going to kill one of us off and it's not going to be me. And
not wrong.
She's not wrong. They're not killing off Snow White, but they might kill off Prince Charming.
They might. They almost did.
They almost did. We're getting to that. So predominantly after that, they got together around the fall, which by my best guess is by the time they filmed the 6th or 7th episode, based off of timing. So they tried for a while, but they eventually started dating. And then in 2013, they announced that they were having their first baby and they were engaged, and they got married in April of 2014. And they now have 2 little boys, and they're stupidly in love and adorable on Instagram, and I highly recommend it. It's adorable.
That's so sweet.
I love them so much. Like I just look at them. I'm like, this is goals. I love it.
It's definitely hard to stay out of a relationship when your counterpart that you're acting with, you have to be romantic with. It's like, oh, wait.
Exactly. It's like, oh, that's my husband.
Exactly. It's like, I can't date you, but we're married.
Exactly. But going off of her thing of like, no, they're gonna have to kill off someone, and it's not gonna be Snow White. They did actually try and kill off Prince Charming in the pilot, which is one of my favorite tidbits about the show. According to an article that the showrunners did in 2012 with Digital Spy, the original pilot, David or Charming, dies when he gets stabbed at the end. Like, there's like that's just the end of his character arc.
So another option.
Just
that they thankfully did not go with.
Exactly. Well, because they brought it to the network execs and they're like, you cannot do this. You've taken away the show, any chance of this show having a happy ending. It's a show about true love, and you've just killed off one of the main true love couples.
Not a good idea.
It doesn't work. So
you got to give the fans something to believe in.
Exactly. So they changed the stabbing into a coma.
Just throw a nice coma in there.
Just throw a good coma in there.
Throw a good coma in.
It's good.
Oh my god.
It's great. The casting on this show was phenomenal. I mean, clearly you have Snow White and Prince Charming just getting together in real life. Lana Parrilla, who plays Regina the Evil Queen, apparently, and you can see there's actually a snippet of her audition from they added it in a behind the scenes thing for the DVDs. Someone's put it on YouTube. She scared the crap out of them. Like, she went in, like, she had this like really like dramatic black shawl that she brought in for the audition, and like the clip is just her turning around, like staring them down and just like, sorry I'm late. Like, it's just, she just scared the crap out of them.
That's dedication. But I love that.
It is. But contrarily to that scaring the crap out of the directors, either at that audition or a different one that she went in to test for, they were also testing Henry's. And she saw she saw them in the waiting room on her way out, and she saw the boy who ended up playing Henry, Jared Gilmore, and she saw him, and she like looked at him, and she just went, "You're going to play my son." She hadn't gotten the part yet. Like, this ballsy as all get out.
What?
But she just knew something about Jared was like, you're gonna get the part. She's like, but she said it like, you're gonna play my son, even though she did not have the part. Which I just think is really fun. Which I just think is, I can't imagine better casting, and I really do think that's the marker of amazing casting, is when you can't imagine that actor in any other role or any other actor playing that role.
Makes sense.
She like encompasses, I mean, she's phenomenal in this. Like, she acts her butt off the entire time.
It's me and like everything Daniel Radcliffe is in.
Exactly.
Even Weird Al, including Weird Al, that was.
Yeah. I still haven't seen that. I know. I'll get to it.
I got other stuff all to watch. Of your reactions. No, I need all of your reactions.
Okay, I gotta watch Bob's Burgers first.
No, that's fair, but eventually I need you to watch the Weird Al movie that Daniel Radcliffe did, because it's a parody of a parody.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
It was wonderful.
I think this is my last casting tidbit about because
okay.
I have so many. And I have other fun facts that I can probably throw into other podcast episodes. I don't need to go on like a 10-minute tangent about this. But my last one is of the actors of the main cast who were just offered their roles. As far as I'm aware, I don't know about many others. As I said, Ginnifer Goodwin was one of the few that were offered directly. So was Jennifer Morrison, who played Emma Swan. She was straight up offered the role. But she was actually filming How I Met Your Mother at the time. That was during that time that she was on that show. And the timing of it wasn't working out so great. So she went to the showrunners for How I Met Your Mother, and they switched around filming of like the last 2 or 3 episodes to make sure that she could film the Once Upon a Time pilot. Okay,
that's really cool.
I think that's very cool of them, honestly.
Yeah, I haven't watched How I Met Your Mother through a second time. So I don't remember. I remember the ending, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. So, what are we looking forward to seeing in the future episodes of Once Upon a Time? What are you looking forward to learning about?
I am looking forward to more Red. I want more Red.
Ruby.
The glimpse at Red. Ruby.
I love her so much.
Exactly. That's the first thing to come to mind. I need more Ruby.
That's fair.
I need more of the curse. I need to understand the curse better, I think. I don't fully understand what the curse entails, and I'm always
Mm-hmm.
confused. So I'm mostly
That's
excited to
fair.
figure out what the hell is with the curse. And I will forever laugh that, the evil queen was like, we're going somewhere terrible.
Our world.
Maine. Apparently, Maine is horrible.
I was like to say someplace horrible, and they picked one of the most progressive states in the country.
Right? Like, I'm sorry. I feel like if you're really going somewhere horrible, you'd be where I am. No,
That
Florida.
is fair.
Actually, go one more state
Anywhere,
down. Florida.
yeah, anywhere south.
Not anywhere, but yes.
I mean, just further south than Maine, I would say.
That's a lot of that's a lot of options.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
But yeah, the curse. I need
Yeah.
more.
I'm looking forward to you seeing more of how the relationship between Regina and Henry shifts, because it does, like, there's a very
Ooh.
significant tonal shift in the way that it's written.
Okay, because right now Henry's,
Exactly. Like, I will admit, as a adult person, my viewpoint on this has changed, because when I first started watching the show, I don't think I said this earlier, I started watching it not when it first started airing, but like within the first season. 'Cause back when Hulu was free, I could binge 17 episodes all at once without paying for it, as long as I watched ads.
Hulu
Which
is
just
free.
Hulu was free back in 2012. It used to be free. As long as you watched ads, it was
Really?
free. Yeah. So
How old am
my
I? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I
not
had a
much older than
moment.
me, but like so basically, like, at that, my viewpoint on this back has changed since then, because back then I'm very much from the fangirl perspective of just love your mother, dang it, and like want to just, like, just get the kid to do what I want because I want to see the happy relationship. But as an adult, I very much am like, okay, I can't necessarily be mad at the child character when it acts like a child. Like,
Yeah.
from his perspective, he might be leaning a little too into the fantasy, I will admit, but the relationship between Henry and Regina does shift really beautifully. Like, even within the first season,
Yeah.
there's progress to be made in the first season. But also it's very cute.
I find it interesting too because you're saying let the kid be a kid, but like thinking from a perspective, if you're a kid who's not really doing so great, books are your escape, and you want it more than anything to be real.
Ex-
Because that was
exactly.
me. Books were
Hmm.
my escape growing up, and I'd love if dragons were real.
Yeah. Like, this show was very much like a right time, right place for me when I
Mm-hmm.
was, like, when I first started watching it, because I was coming out of a flare. I was kind of between medications, but I wasn't like sick, but I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
a whole lot of energy. So like my escape was just anything fantasy at that point, just take me out of my life, out of my body, how I was feeling. And so I binged 17 episodes of this show all at once. Over the course of spring break.
17
I watched the first 17 episodes over the course of 4 days. I
with
binged
ads.
with ads. I mean,
With
again,
ads.
I was a 16-year-old on spring break. I had nothing else to do. So I just watched it constantly. I was able to get caught up from whenever I started over that week until the 18th episode, which to this day actually is one of my favorite episodes, just coincidentally.
Well, I will see you in 17 episodes.
Exactly. We'll get there. You'll know exactly why I
I'll
love
know
that episode so
exactly
much.
why.
You'll know why. No,
Because I
trust me,
haven't seen that one.
when you read the synopsis for it, or even just see who it's about, you'll know why. You'll know why I love it so much.
Okay.
I won't tell you the title, although I can tell you the title because I know the
Oh,
titles of every
yeah.
episode.
Not only do you know lines, you know every single title. I'm
I
learning
know.
about the Bob's ones.
Yeah, I know only the first 6 seasons. I don't know the titles for season 7, but I do know I know the titles for the first 6.
The real that must be the real reason you put on your lives. Do not discuss season 7 because I don't know the titles.
I haven't seen it since it aired. I only watched it once.
But I'm right.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Do you have any more fun facts?
I mean, I have
you know what I mean.
I have plenty.
You have plenty.
Like, this is not necessarily a fun fact. It's more of a thing that to be cognizant of.
Okay.
Henry is 10 on Emma's 28th birthday. He's already 10. Which means she was 17 when she gave birth. This is a fact that the writers tend to forget very frequently. That there is explanation of of his conception, kind of. I mean, we don't see it. It's not that kind of show. But
Sorry.
but just the aging and the timing around that time period of like before, before Emma gives birth to Henry is iffy. So I want us to be cognizant of this because to this day it still bothers me.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time where we discuss the first 2 episodes of Bob's Burgers. Please like, subscribe, review, and follow us. And you can also follow us on OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A television and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren.